read the previous passage wrong, I believe. Oh. What did we read wrong? It says like this, in chapter 13, Pasuk Lamed Zayin. I think there we made a mistake in how to translate one of the words. It says, Avshalom. So what happened? Avshalom murdered Amnon, who had raped Tamar, Avshalom's sister. And because he killed him, so he had to flee, run away from David's punishment, what David would have given him. Okay? So he ran to his grandfather, he fled to his grandfather, who was Talmai, the king of Geshur, his mother's father, who was not Jewish. Not a very good place to be brought up and to live, but it's better than facing the consequences of his murder of his brother. Avshalom Barach, he had fled. Vayelech el Talmai ben Amihud Melech Yeshur. Vayis Abel, and he mourned. So it's clear that means David mourned. Doesn't mean Avshalom mourned. So the person doing this verb is missed out in the text. Why, I don't know, but I think it's clear beyond any shadow of doubt that it means that. Okay? Vayis Abel, I haven't answered the question. Why? Okay, look at the Mefarshim, maybe they'll explain why, but we're here to work out what the text is saying. Right? Vayis Abel al Benoi, he mourned for his son Kol Hayom all the days. So I assumed that means for Avshalom, right? Because he didn't mourn for that's how we talked about it yesterday. It means David missed Avshalom, right? And he mourned for him, right? Because for Amnon, he didn't mourn for Amnon his whole life, right? It says in the next pasuk he didn't. Yesterday we said it means for Amnon.
I thought it was saying.
No, what you thought. The way I explained it yesterday is it means he mourned for Avshalom.
Because you were saying it was like Jacob and Joseph.
Right.
But that would also not make sense, because David's behavior in the last verse, when his baby was still to be saved and living, that's when he did all that behavior. But when the baby died, he was completely normal.
No, that doesn't mean people don't mourn for people who've died. David is just saying that he's not going to cry his eyes out. Yeah, he was sad that his son died. He just got up and he started to eat because there was nothing he could do about it. Mourning is an act of grief, right? David wasn't grieving about his son. He was praying and hoping his son would get better. That's the misunderstanding to him and his servants. But he grieved. So I thought he was grieving over Avshalom, that his beloved Avshalom wasn't there. And the reason why it lasted for all these days until Avshalom came back is because he didn't get over it, right? But the problem is, but it's not the way that the Mefarshim say it doesn't mean it. It means Amnon. Question how, if it means Amnon the way you understood it, right? So let's try that, okay? That's what the Mefarshim say. No, he mourned the death of Amnon, Kol Hayomim, all the days. What does all the days mean? If it means that, it means all the days that David's life.
All the days that Avshalom was gone.
Yeah, I'd say it could mean that. Could be.
In the same pasuk. Meaning the pasuk.
That's the next pasuk. We're not up to the next pasuk yet.
No. I'm saying that it says Avshalom Barach, right?
He went to Geshur.
I thought it was saying that all the days that Avshalom was in Geshur.
It could mean. It might mean that. It might mean that, but that's a bit weird. You mourn for him all the days. What's the connection?
Maybe,
right?
That's
okay, maybe. All right, but it could. All right, we'll see. If it means all the days of his life, then the next pasuk doesn't make sense. Let's see. Avshalom Barach. Avshalom fled. We had a bit of a problem with that because we know he's really fled. Geshur, he went to Geshur. So I heard that the Malbim says it was a second stage of his fleeing. Originally he went to the king of Geshur, but he didn't actually go to Geshur. Geshur is the name of the town. Right? He went to live by his grandfather, but didn't want to live amongst all the goyim in Geshur, so he lived on his own somewhere. But then he decided to go into Geshur. But Avshalom Barach, he fled even further. He actually went to Geshur. I'm not sure why he would do that. That maybe. But he was there for 3 years. Okay, that's good. But David HaMelech, let's say El Avshalom. David. So the word Techal means to finish. No, it doesn't say what he finished. It says he finished to go out. No, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't finish going out because he hadn't started going out. It means we say in Yedid Nefesh, Nichsefa v'gam kol sa nafshi, Nichsefa v'gam kol sa nafshi, how's it go on? Lechat Shveis Hashem. Means like my soul longs and has kolsa. Kolsa means to finish. It means it's I've got nothing left. This is the only thing I've got left is the longing for God. Okay, so what it means over here, his longing was finished, and now he wanted to go out to his son.
Right.
But Tachal David HaMelech to focus on anything else. He finished. Everything else was not important to him, and now what was focused is to get this connection with Avshalom, who has gone away. Why? Why does he suddenly? Doesn't bother me. Why does he suddenly gone to this mood to focus on Avshalom? Because now he was comforted over the fact that Amnon had died. So it took him 3 years to get over the death of Amnon. That's what it sounds like. 3 years to get over the death of Amnon. So, you see that he hasn't yet been thinking about Avshalom. So you can't say he mourned Avshalom all the time. You can't say people talk about mourning Avshalom. He only started to focus on Avshalom after 3 years. So Vayis Abel can't mean he mourned Avshalom, right? But now the point is, it also can't mean he mourned all his life for Amnon, because it says that he got over Amnon's death, right? So that's the problem. So if we say like Aviad, right, then it's a good answer. It doesn't mean he mourned him all the days, although that's what it says. It means all the days that we're going to find out in the next pasuk, yeah, that means there were 3 years. It means all the days that Avshalom was away, he mourned, but it's still not accurate because he mourned him for 3 years, and then after he stopped mourning, then he wanted to bring Avshalom back. So you shouldn't say he mourned him all the time Avshalom away, because that's not the cause. If the cause was the fact that Avshalom was away, it would make sense that it's saying he mourned for what's his name? For Amnon all the time that Avshalom was away. It should really say all the time that he mourned. It's the other way around in thought. All the time that he was mourning about Amnon, he didn't care that Avshalom was away. That's what it should really say. Or Avshalom was away all the time that he mourned over Amnon. It doesn't say that. It says he mourned. So others say Kol HaYomim means something else. It means all the days of the year. It means even on Shabbos and even on Yom Tov, which are times when you don't normally mourn for people, David couldn't get. That's how bad it was. Couldn't get over it. Well,
during Sukkot.
Sukkot as well, and Hanukkah, Purim, whatever. There's no Hanukkah. There's no Purim, right? I mean, David wasn't able to get over it, but until it was 3 years, right? Kol HaYomim. It's also a bit of a stretch because it's not what it usually means. Others say there's a difference between Avelus and Nicham. Nicham means he still mourned him his whole life. He always missed Amnon. It wasn't like he ever got over it, but he was able to focus more after 3 years. For the first 3 years, that was the only thing on his mind. He was totally focused on this loss, and he couldn't think about anything else. And after that, when he got over it, but he wasn't back to himself, and that's what it means he mourned him for his whole life. Yeah. You know, it's true. Like, I mean, my mother, I had a brother who was killed in a road accident, right? Whatever. And my mother never got over it. Yeah, but she got on with life. Yeah, so that's what it means. He mourned him his whole life, but after 3 years, he managed to focus on missing Avshalom now. I don't know. There's different ways to read it, right? So either Kol HaYomim means all the time that Avshalom was away, which is 3 years, or Kol HaYomim means every day of the year, including Yom Tov, or it means for his whole life, but he got over it. He managed to focus on other things after 3 years. Good? All right. Let's start chapter 14. Vayeda Yoav ben Tzeruya Kilev HaMelech al Avshalom. So, by the way, this is 5 years after the rape of at least 5 years. Yeah. At least 5 years of Tanach, right? That means yes, because
2 years.
The 2 years that he waited before he killed him, 3 years that he's run away. That's 5 years. Yeah. Plus, if you want to add to it the year, it would seem like from the story that Shaul HaMelech was born before the rape of Tamar. It's mentioned in the text like that. Yes. Good.
Who's
Shlomo? Shlomo was born from Bathsheba, right? The second baby, the first baby died, and the second, and it's mentioned that he was born. It was called Shlomo, and there's after that. Sounds like it was after that, really? Right? So that means Shlomo. It means this is at least 6 years after David's original affair with Bathsheba. 1 year. Well, it's even more. 1 year for the first baby, 6 months, right? Another 9 months, at least, for the next one, it's a year and a half, right? Plus another 2 years before, and assuming immediately afterwards what Tamar was raped, it could have been. So it's at least 6.5 years since their story. It's important because the picture of David's life.
Wait, this is towards the very end of David's life.
Well,
because Wasn't
How do you
Shlomo
know?
become king at 12 or something?
Yeah, that's all part. How do we know that? It's all part of this calculation. That assumption that he was 12 was all part of this calculation of how many years we've got to add in between. That's what we're going to do. I'm saying it's
Okay.
correct. You're right. Okay. All right. So Yoav knew. Vayeda Yoav. Yoav knew. Who was Yoav? Yoav was the chief of staff of David's army. He was also David's first cousin. Sorry, nephew. David HaMelech al Avshalom. The heart of the king was upon Avshalom, meaning the king was now thinking about Avshalom. After these 3 years, he'd missed him and had come to terms with the death of Amnon. The king was now missing Avshalom. Right? And he missed him. It's true that Avshalom had killed his son, but he's still his son. Son is always the son. And he missed Avram was, and Avshalom was, obviously David loved him, and he was a very, we'll see, a very special son. And stuck up for the honor of his sister, right? Maybe David was even proud of him, I don't know. Maybe David Amnon got what he deserves. Oh, David Amnon obviously loves him. I mean, there's a lot of mixed feelings you have when your son does something terrible like this. Okay? To avenge the death, the rape of your daughter by, it's a lot. Whatever. Complicated how to think about what David felt about this. Anyway, Yoav knows that David is missing him. And he wants to make peace between them. Wants to suggest to David maybe it'd be a good idea to bring him back, but he doesn't do it like that because David said, "What do you mean bring him back? He's a murderer, right?" He has to do it in a way that he'll get David to agree. All right. But Yishlach Yoav Tekoa. So Yoav sent a message to a place called Tekoa. Now the word Tekoa is Pemedai. Right, the end means to Tekoa. Tekoa is Taf Kuf Vav Ayin. Okay, it's the name of a town. It's on the way to. It's near Beit Lechem, I think. It's still there today. A place called Tekoa. He sent there. Yikach Misham Isha Chachama. He took from there a wise woman. Chacham is wise. He found in Tekoa, presumably, the people from Tekoa were wise, which is why he went there to look for a wise woman. Or it could be, I read somewhere that Tekoa is near Beit Lechem, and therefore the people in Tekoa spoke with a similar accent to the people in Beit Lechem, and David would feel more at home speaking to someone like that. It's like when you speak to someone with an Australian accent, you feel more South African or whatever, or with a Mancunian accent as it's called, right? You feel some type of kinship, right? You'll see the idea comes from a certain word that she used, which we don't find anywhere else in Tanach, right? So it could be that's the way they said it in Tekoa, and so it would make them feel more relaxed. Okay, whatever. Okay, so he sent a message to this woman. He said to her, Hisabelina, please mourn. Or it means to fake mourning. Obviously, you're not going to mourn. Mourn means to act as if you're mourning for somebody.
What tense is Hitabli?
It's an instruction to a woman. It's like Tishmeri. Hitabli is something you do to yourself.
But the Hitab sounds like it's like the
Correct,
prefix
correct.
for reflexive.
It's reflective of mourning. It means to act as if you're mourning. When you mourn, it's something you do to yourself.
So it's tzivoy and reflexive?
I think so. Like I say, hitrachtzi, which means go and have a shower. Which means go and shower yourself. Yeah?
I thought it was.
How do you say to a woman, go and have a shower?
Oh, but I guess
Clean
you have
yourself.
to imply yourself.
In
Okay.
Hebrew. Right?
Yeah, okay.
The livshi,
I've never used it.
livshi means, and the livshina, and please wear, bigadei avel, clothes of mourning. That, we would assume that means it's black. I presume that guy made you wear pink when you're mourning, but you never know, right? Whatever clothes of mourning look like, that's what she wants her to wear. So she should look, Alta suchi shemen, don't smear oil, which means we would call that deodorant or perfume. Don't put anything on. So you've obviously not had a bath for a week. Want to smell like that, because a person who's mourning does that. A person who's mourning doesn't shower, doesn't clean, and they don't smell so nice. So he wants her, he's not telling her to smell bad, but don't put something to take away your natural body odor. V'hayis, so that you shall be, right? A man would say hayisa, right? Hayisa means you were. Hayis is you to a woman were. V'hayis, and you will be, because the Vav changes it into the future.
It's like
V'hayvoch, right? Yeah, that's v'hayita, correct. That's v'hayit, yeah. V'hayit, and you shall be, but you do this, when you wear these special clothes, these morning clothes, and you don't shower and don't put perfume on or whatever, deodorant, like a woman, ze yamim rabim, that this many days, Misabeles almeis is mourning over a dead. If you do this, you will look like you have for many days been mourning over someone who's died. That's how I want you to give that impression. Why? Let's see. Uvas, and you shall come. Again, he's talking to a woman. Uvas, and you will come. Although it's really a command, but it's not being written as a command. Uvas, and you will come. El HaMelech, to the king. The Dibaut, and you will speak a love to him. Kadavazeh. I want you to say as follows. You're going to make up a whole story. It's a bit like when the prophet came, made up a whole story, hoping that David would come to some conclusion. And then he would say, well, now you've plastered yourself, now apply it. He's doing the same thing with King David about his relationship with Avshalom. She'll make up a whole story and come and say, you should do this. And she'll say, well, that's what you should do to Avshalom. That's the point of the story.
I like the style of writing here. It's very like rhetorical. And
Why?
it says Yoav told her what to say, and then the next sentence.
Yasem Yoav es advarim befiha, and he put the words in her mouth. So we don't know what Yoav said. We're going to find out in a second. But he told exactly what to say. You should say this and say this, and then the king will say this, and that's what you say.
That's what I like.
Right?
That we don't hear what he says. I like that.
Right, because you don't need to if we're going to find out. You don't need to say that. If you were just told, he says, right, he put the words in her mouth, so he dictated. So you have to act it, prepare it, stand in front of the mirror, and you practice it many times until you got it just right. That's how you say it, a woman from Tekoa. So since she's a woman, she's Tekoit, like a Yerushalmit, would be a woman from Yerushalayim. El HaMelech, she said to the king, Vatipol al hapeha arza, and she fell on her face to the ground. That was a way of accepting the other person's authority over you. Vatishtachu. Now, it's confusing. Unfortunately, this word is a confusing word. It has an u at the end, which makes it look like. What is it? No, what does the u look like?
Plural.
Plural. Like Shomru means they guarded. Achlu, they ate. So Vatishtachu looks and they bowed down, but it's wrong. The u at the end is a root letter. Right? To bow down, right? The vav is a root letter. It's shin ches vav. In order to make it there, you would have to have two vavs. That's like vayishtachavu. Why does two vavs? Because one vav is the root letter, and one vav is the plural future. Okay? So vatishtach.
Was that practice not like avodah zarah? Like the reason why we don't like bow to like people who we want to show kavod to, like if there's a big rabbi, we don't bow to them.
It's not like avodah zarah. No, you're allowed to bow down to people.
Really?
Absolutely.
I thought bowing was reserved for after the shofar.
No.
Wait, so why did
Full of Tanach all over the place.
Why did Mordechai?
You're allowed to bow down to people who are balei bechira. I mean, just like a Kodesh Baruch Hu can give you what he wants to, you can also give him what you want to. You have bechira. You have choice to give me or not give me.
So
now, Avodah Zarah doesn't have any choice.
Mordechai didn't bow.
Bow down to Haman because Haman had an Avodah Zarah around his neck.
Ah.
That's what Chazal say.
Yeah.
Right. Or for example, you go to the Pope. He's got a big cross around his neck, so he understands that people are not going to bow down. They're not going to go like this.
Is that why?
He understands.
Rabbi Jonathan Sachs didn't bow to the Queen when he was knighted.
He didn't handshake her.
Handshake. Sure,
No, I thought there wasn't a.
Really? Why? Because she got a cross on the crown.
Hold on, let me look.
Well, he doesn't have to worry about doing anything with the queen, so I guess he's not super worried about Shomer Dekia.
No, he didn't handshake.
Why he doesn't have to worry about it?
This
is like his nice warm hands?
No, because there's security, so she'll never be alone.
The Queen has no
I mean,
lovers.
also, I'm sure
If you read a lot of British history, you'll find out how many lovers the royal family have.
Okay,
What?
I can tell you what
I
Google
wish I
said.
could
What do you say?
say
What do you
it's
say?
different.
Rabbi Jonathan Sachs did not bow to the Queen when he was knighted in 2005 because Jewish law forbids bowing to flesh and blood. Buckingham Palace creatively accommodated him by arranging a small stepladder so the Queen could stand at a slightly higher level, allowing him to remain standing.
Interesting.
And she has to be higher than him to knight him,
Wait.
so she can take a sword and put it on his shoulder.
Wait,
and not have to lift up. Kind of the Queen lifting up to
Like a 95-year-old lady.
She wasn't that.
Wait, hold on. They got her a tiny little like a step stool or something?
So that's a sit on. So she would be higher than him.
But
when
I
she
would
knighted
stand
him.
her.
That's the
I'm
thing. But I don't think it's
sure-
right. It's probably because she's got a cross on her.
Yeah.
She's got a cross on her crown.
Yes.
She's got a cross around her neck. I don't know.
know.
No, you did.
I mean,
Anyway.
it's easier to tell the going you can't bow down to flesh and blood than you can't bow
Could
down
be,
to
which is
the
what we
cross.
say. As far as I know, you see all over the place. But Tisha, he's the king, right? So she got on her face and she bowed down to him. Vatayma, and she says, it's funny, it says Vatayma at the beginning of the sentence. Vatayma, she said to the king, what did she say? She said, hi? No, she fell on her face. And then she said, Shiur HaMelech, the king, save, O king, means save me. I'm in trouble, I need the king to save me. The king said to her, Malach, what is to you? Meaning, what's your problem? I'd love to help you. Please tell me your problem. Malach, what is to you? And she said, Aval. Now, I'm not sure, but I think that there's a lot of extra words in this long talk. And I think I would guess that the reason is because people generally are not careful about when they talk. And if they're under a lot, if you're meant to be under a lot of pressure, you just babble, right? So Tanach isn't usually babble because we're not interested to hear people's babble, right? We just want to hear the point, right? But here she's got to pretend that this is real. Okay, so you don't want to say, sound like you're reading from a text and every word is counted for. No, you just talk. So she's talking, right? I think that's the approach to reading this. This is pretending to be a real conversation about a woman who's a lot of pressure and she needs the king to help her. So you can't really analyze every word. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being superficial. She said, Aval, however, you can't start a sentence with the word however, right? It's very bad English to start with the word aval. However has to be after you've said something. However, right?
Oh.
Right? Isha almana ani. I am a widow. Vayamos ishi. And my husband died. Well, of course you're a widow if your husband died. That's the definition of a widow, isn't it? There's no other way to be a widow.
Well,
is there?
We learn in the Gemara that
if your husband doesn't come back, it's like being a widow.
There's a quote where if Hashem is angry, he says,
yeah,
he'll be
I
angry.
will kill you. Yeah, and I'll make your wives
yes,
widows and your husband
and your children orphans. And
it means widows when the husband's alive, really, because they don't know if they'll come back.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. I also thought about that.
Maybe
She doesn't want anyone to think that her husband's missing in action. He actually died.
He's a Shavuot.
Yeah. She doesn't want him to think that. On the contrary, if she would just says, "My husband, I'm an almana," the king may think that her husband is a captive.
Yes.
No, I'm a real almana. My husband died.
Yeah.
But still, you could have said, "My husband died." You have to say, "I'm a winning." That's a both. Right? Okay. Anyway, again, it could be just like you're saying. It could be just babbling, right? And to your maidservant, she's talking about herself. That's what you talk when you talk about the king. She calls herself a maidservant, a servant of the king. Only a servant of a male servant is an eved, and a female servant is a shivcha. And to your servant, Shnei Banim, there are 2 sons. May I have 2 sons? Vaginotsu Shneim Basada. And the 2 of them got into a fight in the field. Notsu is a fight. Okay? Ve'ein matzil beinehem. Matzil means he's the guy at the beach who's the lifeguard, right? Yeah? You're a matzil? A matzil is a guy who saves people, like Hatzalah. There was no one to save between men. There was no one else there, just these 2. There was no one else there to save them from each other. Like Yaakov, not by Yaakov, by Yaakov, and he hit Ha'echad, Echad. The one hit the other one, Yames Oisoi, and he killed him. Okay, don't be shocked, it's not a real story, she's making this all up. Right? Okay. Right? So one brother killed my husband died, I have 2 sons, and one of them killed the other. Behold, Kama Kol HaMishpacha, the whole family got up. Al Shivchasecha, upon your maidservant, they're all ganged up against me, the rest of the family. And they said, Tani es make achim, give. Tani is telling a woman, give. Make of the one who struck his brother, Unamiseu, and we will kill him. Benefesh, achiv. Benefesh means in place of. He killed his brother, we've got to take our blood, what's it called? Revenge. Right? Like you do. Someone kills somebody else, usually the base them will kill. And if he does it by mistake, he runs off to the city of refuge. And if he leaves the city of refuge, then the one of the relatives killed him. So that's what the relatives wanted to do. He murdered someone, so it was even worse. It wasn't even by mistake, it was on purpose. Right? So if the Torah allows when a guy kills by mistake the relative to kill, if he leaves the mikdash, that's certainly true if a guy kills on purpose. Or usually you don't need the family to do it because the Beis Din will do it. But let's say the Beis Din couldn't do it because he did it without warning, or so one of the family members will do it. I mean, is allowed to. Okay? I'd say should, but he's allowed to. The Torah doesn't consider it murder if one of the family members kills the person who killed his family member. Right? Go Adam. So that's what the family want. The family all ganged up against me, all got up against me. And they said, give over the one who hit his brother, killed his brother, Unumiseu, so we will kill him, Benefesh, it doesn't mean inside, it means in place of the soul of his brother. Asher Harag, that he killed. The Nashmida, and we will destroy, Lehashmid, like you have in the Megillah, Haman wanted Lehashmid to kill all the Jews. Lehashmid, we will destroy Games HaYoresh, also the inheritor. Means the only inheritor of this family, of this state, right, is the one son left. My husband died. There's two sons, he killed him, so technically he's going to inherit, right? I don't know if he's going to inherit his brother because he killed his brother, but at least he's going to inherit the father, right, who died, and we'll kill him too. So that's what the family want. The family want to wipe out. There's no family left. The Kibu, and now that's what they said. Now she's saying what will happen.
So who wanted that? Who was for that?
The family.
Right.
The cousins, the uncles, the aunties, I don't know.
Right.
Again, it's not a real story, right? But she's making up as the rest of the family, not the brothers and sisters, no brothers and sisters, but the uncles and aunties, the grandfather, right? Right? He wants revenge for the death, to avenge the blood of the son, then nephew, right? And they'll kill the other nephew. And that will happen. Vikibu, and they will extinguish, right? When you put the fire out, lechabot, right? Right? Or mechabeesh is a firefighter, right? Or as we used to say in English, a fireman. I don't know why you can't say that anymore.
How do you say it?
Not firemen, right? They're firefighters. It's a fireman. A guy made about fire. What's wrong with the fire? Because you can't have a man. It could be a woman. I forgot. Right, you're a fireman. Why can't it be a woman? Of course. Yeah. Okay.
What's Vikibu?
Firefighters. Yeah.
Vikibu.
They will extinguish as gachalti my coal.
Cool.
Gachelet is a coal. Coal, like a coal man? Sorry, coal miner, not coal man. Right? Coal miner. A coal, C-O-A-L, right? So when a burning coal, right? So when that makes flames, right? That gives warmth, it gives energy, right? So that's the symbol of the family, and they'll extinguish that by there'll be nothing left, nobody left, no husband, no son, nothing. That's what they're going to do. Asher nishara, which remains. The one remaining coal remains burning coal. Well, my family, they're going to put that out as well. Levilti, not to. Levilti means not to. Sim, place. Leishi, to my husband. Ish, man. Ishi, my husband. That means if they do this, then there'll be no one to take the place of my husband. So they're going, Levilti sum. Sim leishi, to not place for my husband shame, a name, ushe'erit, and a remnant, al pnei hadama, on the face of the earth. If they do this, then my husband will have no one to continue the name. There'll be no remnant of our family. It's wiped out. This is a very sorry story. This woman's complaining to the king. Can you help me to bring justice and save me from my family who want to wipe out me, right? To wipe out this child. Okay, that's the end of her speech. I'm sure she was crying as well, and she put on a whole big show. And why does she have to look like she's mourning? Because her husband's died recently, and now, well, I don't know how recently, but one of her kills has died recently, right? And so that's why she's mourning. Go to your home. Means, I'll take care of it. Go home, and I will command about you. Upon you. It means about you. It means I'll take care of it and make sure that you're okay. That's the end of his, that's all he's prepared to promise. Right? 3 words. 4 words. Okay? So she wants to push him a bit more to get a very, very specific, no, that's not enough. You know, what are you going to do? What are you going to put? You give me a letter to the local police commander and just say, oh, I'll take care of it. Yeah, be more specific. I tell you how Isha had to koyes el HaMelech. So the Kohen woman said to the king, Alai Adoni HaMelech he'avon v'al beis avi v'HaMelech v'chis'o naki. So this is not so clear what she's trying to say. Let's translate it. Alai, upon me, Adoni HaMelech, my master the king, he'avon, the guilt. Avon is a sin, guilt, right? There's 3 different words for It's sins in Hebrew. Chet, Avon, Pesha.
Avon v'pesha.
Where is-
Okay, Chet, Avon, Pesha, right?
It's not okay.
Yeah, Nakeh means to clean,
Oh.
right?
Oh,
What's the
okay.
other-
Avera just means a transgression. But the word Avera means to pass over, right? So you can pass over anything. When you transgress the law, it's called an Avera. Right? They describe a chet is a sin that you do by mistake, and Avon is one you do on purpose, knowing it's wrong, and Pesha is even worse.
It's like
But you do it to spite.
Yeah, you do it.
Right.
I thought you do it in order to anger.
Yeah, so that's the same idea. Right? Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay.
she's saying that Avon here.
Tess.
Apostle Tess, yeah? The last word on the line.
He'yon.
Avon. No.
Avon.
No, it's hard to tell. I explain to you. You know why? You hear that vav as a chaylam. And it is a chaylam, right? Because there's a dot on top of it. But it's also a vav. How do I know it's a vav and a chaylam?
Because there wouldn't be two silent sounds in a row without a.
The opposite. There wouldn't be two vowels on the row.
That's what. Sorry, I mean
Yeah.
silent
Right.
consonants.
That means you've got here, the R has already got a vowel. So the ayin can't have two vowels. Can't have a commas and a chaylam. So obviously the chaylam is also a vav. It'd be nice if someone would put in two vavs, but that's not how it's supposed to be. In modern Hebrew, it would have two vavs in order to know that the first one is a vav, the second one is a chaylam. Right? The problem is in modern Hebrew, two vavs is that also the way you write a W.
What?
Right? Volkswagen.
Or you
Right?
can just be temani, and it's always the one.
Yes, but modern Israelis are not taking it. There's just a few of them, right? Okay?
But what does that word mean, Israel?
It means sin.
Sin.
The sin or the guilt. So, upon me, my master the king, the guilt. V'al beis avi, and on my father's house. V'hamelech v'chiso, and the king and his chair, naki, is clean. So, probably what she means is she's saying, if something happens, because your instructions are not very specific or explicit, and then it means, then the guilt of my son dying will be mine. I'll be to blame, and you will be naki. Means no one will blame you for it. So she's saying, I want you to do more than that. I want you to make sure nothing happens, not just promise nothing's going to happen, right? To make sure nothing happens, because if something does happen, I'm the one who's going to have to take the blame, and you won't have to take the blame. Okay? She's pushing him a bit, right? If you read it like that, maybe other ways to read it. But I
His
think that's
first response was just like, "I'll deal with it."
yeah,
It sounded kind of dismissive.
a little bit, right? That's what she's saying. Yeah, saying I'm going to deal with it is like not really taking responsibility. You didn't tell her how you're going to deal with it. It'll be more okay. All right. So she says, look, if because of your lack of interest something happens, you should know that I'm going to have to take the blame and not you. Melech kiso. Kiso means he's thrown, means his authority. Naki will be not held responsible. Naki means clean. Clean means clean. Okay. The king said, "Hamadaber elecha." He who speaks to you, anyone who says a word to you, right? Bring it to me. So he's being a bit more specific. Anyone who says anything, you bring him to court and I'll deal with him.
How is she supposed to bring somebody?
I know, I suppose she'll go to the king. She'll take him to court. She'll go to the king, I'll make a summons, and he'll be summoned to court. But you can't drag him, I suppose, yeah? No. And he won't any longer touch you. He won't touch you again. And that could be the same thing, or it's another instruction. But I suppose anyone who says anything to you and threatens to do something, I'll make sure they don't touch you. Bring them to me. Okay. She's still not so happy about that. And she says, Yizkar no HaMelech es Hashem Elokecha. Please let the king remember the Lord your God. I mean, she's saying, I don't want you just to be like an authority as a king. I want you to be Yiras Shamayim. As I want you to put your fear of God into your decision of how you're going to help me. Please remember your God. Meharbas Goyel Hadam L'Shaches V'lo Yashmidu Ezbeni. What does all that mean? Difficult verses. Harbas is from the word harbe, a lot, or to make big.
Sounds like the lots of but.
lots of what? Yeah, or it could be to make big. Let's see. Goel Adam. Now, the Goel Adam is the redeemer of the blood. So he's the relative, or any of the relatives who want to kill her son. Leshaches, to destroy. V'lo yashmidu, so they will not destroy. Another word for destroy, I don't know the difference. Es beni, my son. So, I saw one way to translate this is that please remember the Lord God not to elevate. It means if the Goel Adam comes, if you show him any respect, then he will take that as a sign of, what's the word? Encouragement on the part of the king to carry out their plot. So don't, harbet means to make big. Please, look, I'm going to bring these guys when they start with me, and so I want you to deal with them in a way that won't give them any excuse to feel that they're okay with what they do.
Make big, like make notice, or make like...
To make big,
noise.
so, he comes in the room and says, how do you do, and it's nice to see you, or big handshake, or whatever. Please don't do that, because if you do that, they'll take your words of encouragement seriously and carry out their plot to kill them, because they know they've got the... You have to be very, very firm with them if I do bring them. Maybe that's the way to read it. Yomer Chai Hashem, as the Lord lives. So now he's bring God into it. Just like she brought God into it, I want you to display your fear of God in the story. So he swears by God, Im yipol kisaras b'neich outza, that a hair of your son's head will not fall to the ground. That's right. Im yipol, if here it means after an oath, it means will not. I swear by God that it will not fall. Right, we've had this many times. Right, that's the way to translate. After an oath, the word im really means not. Now, it doesn't really mean not. What it means is, I should deserve punishment if I allow your son's hair to fall to the ground. That's where the word if comes from, right? But the punishment is not written in here. We say, as the Lord lives, I swear means I promise to do as follows, and if I don't do as follows, then God should do X, Y, Z. But X, Y, Z is not mentioned, and therefore that's where in comes from. Simply, in order to avoid that whole discussion, we usually translate in as not, in the context of an oath, because it flows much better. And he swore, that I will not allow yipol, that it will fall. Mi sa'arat, from the hair of. Se'ar is hair. Mi se'ar, from the hair. Sa'arat means the hair of. It's the construct. B'neich, your son, outza, to the ground. I swear by God that no one will touch a hair of your son. Okay, so that's serious. I mean, he's gone from just saying, I'll look after it, right? To saying, if anyone starts with them bringing to me, right, he's sworn, and that's serious. David swears that it's not going to happen. He's going to take personal, what's the word?
Agency?
Personal interest in the outcome of this. Because if anything happens to one of her sons, he's violated his oath, right? So now, okay, now I'm happy. You can't expect the David to do more than that, all right? So now she backs off. Now she's telling the truth. Okay, Shivchasa. The woman said, Tedaber na shivchasa, please let your maidservant speak. El Adoni HaMelech davar. I want to say something.
Make a shavua on something that isn't real.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's okay because in the story it's real. As far as David HaMelech knows, it's real. Yeah.
So if you mislead me about something,
I think yes. There's an interesting Gemara about it. I don't exactly know the terms of it. There's a Gemara about it. About two rabbis came to a shiur of their rabbi, and then they had a discussion about what the rabbi actually said. Right? One said, I swear the rabbi said this. And one said, I swear the rabbi said this. Right? So one of them was obviously wrong. Right? And they went to the rabbi, and he said like one of them, says, that mean I said a false one? No, you see, that's what you thought I said. So in your understanding, that's what I did. It wasn't called a false oath, if that's how you really understood it. So
your intentions have to be good, even if your understanding is false.
What do you mean your intentions have to be good?
Meaning, when making the oath, you have to.
Yeah, in order to be violating the oath, it has to be. In order to be a bad oath, that's what you mean. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
In order to be considered an aveira, it has to be that you knowingly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly how that works out. If you make, I think it's only at the time of making the oath. If you make an oath that you're not going to eat something, and then you forget and eat it, that's held against you. Because when you made the oath, you were fully aware. Here, I was misled at the time of making it. Understand?
Got it.
I think it's different. Okay. So that's so she now says, please can I have permission to speak? Means I finished the story. Clearly I'm not asking for any more about the story, but I have more to say. I'd like to say something else. You know, it could be the 5-minute audience with the king had finished. Okay, but she wants to say more. Speak, no problem. I want to say, you have permission to speak. And the woman said, it could be that she wants to speak more open now. She's actually going to criticize the king now. Up to now, she just made up a whole story, right? But now she's about to criticize. That's where she needs extra permission. You know, you have permission to say whatever you want. Okay, now I have permission to say whatever I want, so I'm going to give you over there. Okay? Velama chashavta kazois al am helikim. Why did you think like this about the people of God? How could you really think this was a real story? You think there are people in your kingdom, the Jewish people in Eretz Yisrael, who would do such a thing? Who would kill the only remaining survivor of the family just to avenge his blood? You really think there's people who do that? We don't live in Harlem. We don't live in San Francisco. We live in Eretz Yisrael, right? Is that racist?
No.
No.
I mean, it happens the whole time.
Because I said so.
Yeah, this is Eretz Yisrael where from people keep the Torah, right? We keep Shabbos, we do mitzvahs, we do ches and stuff. How can you possibly think this is a real story, right? You know, I'm surprised, shocked at you, David, that you actually fell for this. Lama chashavta kazais amalekim umidaber HaMelech hadavar hazeh ka'ashem. Oh, this is really confusing, these words. Levilti hashiv HaMelech es nidchai. So, I think what she's trying to say is, I'll try to see really how it fits into the words in a minute. She's trying to say that don't back out now that you've realized I'm actually talking about you. Don't change your mind now. You got to, right? Because I'm about to say that you violating the same thing. One of your kids killed the other one, and then he's gone into exile, and now you've lost both of them.
Uno reversed him.
What?
Uno reversed him.
She did what?
You ever played?
Okay, there's a game Uno. There's order or whatever. You
Yeah.
put down one card, it
Uno.
switches the order.
All right. So
So Uno
Turn
reverse.
it back on him.
okay, that's the point, right? This is the best way to get a person to make a decision, right? You put it on somebody else, and then you say, well, that's exactly what the Navi, Nasan Navi, did with the story of Bathsheba. So now she's doing this in David, but she says, don't change. You can't get out of it now. That's what she wanted to say. How does it fit into the words? Well, the last part of the sentence is easy. Levilti hashiv HaMelech es nidchai, that the king does not bring back he who was pushed away. Nidach means you pushed, one of your children has been pushed away, and you're not bringing him back, which is silly because now you lose both children. Umidaber HaMelech hadavar hazeh, and speaking to the king this matter, ka'ashem, as guilty. Meaning, this thing that I spoke to the king is really, you're guilty of the same crime. In what sense? Umidaber HaMelech hadavar hazeh, and speaking to the king this matter, ka'ashem, as if you're guilty, because what have you done? Levilti hashiv HaMelech hazeh, you haven't brought back your son. So you, the same awful thing. I suppose what she's saying is, what you should have reacted, David, was, how could anyone possibly do such a thing? I don't believe that anyone would ever do such a thing. And that's what we should, if David would have said that, we should have a much better uno reverso, right? Said, well, you did that, David, right? Do you think, but in the end, so, well, I hear that someone might have done that sort of thing. So it's really taken away the oomph from her argument, right? Because, people, I did it, other people do it as well. But that's what she's saying, right? How could you possibly think someone would do such a thing? And that's really, you have done the same thing. Okay. Now, here's just a whole speech, which again, you have to know what she's trying to say. Ki mois namus. That means we will surely die. Mot, mavet is death. Mot, namut, we will die. Mot, namut is usually, when you have that Hebrew, it means surely. I mean, there's no question, we're all going to die at some point. Motumat means you surely put him to death, right? We don't make exceptions, right? Usually it means that. Ki mot namut, we're for sure going to die. These are all arguments of why he should bring him back, I suppose. It means one day you're going to die. You don't want to die and have missed a life with Avshalom. right? If you'd live forever, okay, in 20 years' time we'll make up peace, right? But you're going to die one day. You don't know when that's going to be. That's point number one. V'chamayim hanigarim arza, like water which is pouring on the ground. Asher lo ye'aseifu, that cannot be gathered. Means life can't be brought back. Once you pour something out on the ground and it goes down the hill, you can't get it back.
Entropy.
What?
Entropy.
Right. Entropy means when things become more messed up, right?
More chaotic.
Yeah. So life is like in a one-way direction, right? It's going that way, and if you could bring it back, okay, so we'll bring it back, and then we'll make peace then with ourselves. No, it's all going forward. You're losing time, precious time. It's all like the water's going away. It's not coming back. So you're missing all this time. You could be with your beloved Avshalom, missing him. V'lo yisa Elokim nefesh. God will not lift up a soul.
What?
That's what it means. Yisa Elokim nefesh. Lisa means to raise up. Elokim nefesh. God will not raise up the soul. Not sure what that's trying to say. I wonder if I have in my notes what that means. I'll say Yud Dalet. Let's have a look. I brought it here because I knew I might get stuck. 215. Mitzad nekama amri kimot namut. Kulam meisi v'sev shadav. Im kein ein larog tarog kol kach v'chim and she'en. Here's the different shed.
Says that.
Just a minute. Kama nigor ma'atzi. Gam im tanish shadav shem iya shel ha'achzitz amnon v'ven. Mitzad ha'oin sham v'lo yislik imon. Gam im tevatev v'lo yitem ha'oin sham kom v'yikam. Okay, what is it in yours?
Every translation is slightly different, but one says God will not take away the life of whatever. One says God does not respect any person. Another one says God does not take life away. Another one is God will not carry a life away.
How do you get so many translations there?
There's
different possibilities.
Wait, what
one's the Mitzuda Tanach series, another one's the Shaksim Bible, the other one's JPS, the other one's the
Okay.
Safari
All right. So let's try what we're going to attempt.
So Yud Dalet?
Yud Dalet, yes. So,
Like God-
V'lo Yisa Elokim, I'll tell you the way I've translated it as follows. Yeah? Yisa means to lift up. Okay?
Oh, Loisa Nefesh.
Right? To lift up a soul, what it means that even if you don't avenge Amnon's death, Hashem will. It means you don't have to be God's judge. God won't forgive him. God won't forgive him, so therefore you can forgive him. Right? But God will not lift up. It means he won't. To lift up the soul would mean like to disregard the soul that was killed.
Oh, I thought I meant to take the soul away, like as in kill.
That's why there's 5 different translations, because everyone's got their own interpretation, right?
Right.
It's very vague, right? What she's trying to say. The Lo Yisa Elokim Nefesh. Yeah, okay. I think we'll leave it there, because each of these words you could translate differently. Some say Ki Mot Namut means we're going to die in any case, so what's the big deal that Amnon died? You know, don't hold it against Avshalom because Amnon would have died at some point. Yeah? All right. I like the way I said it. Like you're missing your time that you could spend with Avshalom because you're going to die one day and you regret the time you didn't spend it. Our life is pouring out like water that can't be regathered. And if you say, well, who's going to punish Avshalom? God will punish him. God will not forgive, disregard the soul that he took, and he'll get his punishment. V'chashav machashavot, and he will think thoughts. Now, who's the he over here? Probably she's referring to David. Meaning, I'm suggesting that he, the king, should think of a plan, levilti idach mimenu nidach, that the one who is pushed away should not be pushed away. I think you should think a way of bringing Avshalom back, because it's a pity to miss all this time you could spend with him, which you will regret one day when you're an old man. Okay? Ve'ata. Now, Asher basi ledaber HaMelech, Adoni, es hadavar hazeh. that which I came, Vata now, Asher Bossi, that which I came, Ledaber to speak to the king, Adoni, my master. So why didn't I just tell the king my advice? I have to explain now why did I make it this whole story. Why don't I just come and tell the king that it's not a good idea to send Avshalom, right? Ki yiruni ha'am. The people got me scared. Yiruni from the word yira, right? To cause me to be scared means other people scared. I had this idea. I should come to the king and give him some musa, right? I mean, telling him how he should behave and not reject his son. He's going to regret this one day. But the people said, if you say this, the king will just throw you out. Right? The king doesn't want to be criticized. So that's why I apologize for doing it this way, because people said I have to do it this way, this only way the king might see straight. Taimer shivchascha. So your maidservant said means. So I came up with a plan because they told me if I speak to the king, what's it called, Dugri? How do you say Dugri? Straightforward, right? Yeah. Then the king may be annoyed with me. And therefore, I decided on a different plan. Adabra no el HaMelech. I'll have this idea of speaking to the king. Ulayase HaMelech es devar amato. Maybe the king will do the word of his maidservant. That's fascinating. I don't know the answer. Why the word for maidservant has suddenly changed. There's two words for maidservant in Hebrew. One is an amma, aleph mem hey, which also means a hand, correct? Okay, or a finger. This is the amma. Right? And a shivcha is a maidservant. Usually, the word amma means a Jewish servant, and a shivcha is a non-Jewish slave. That's how we usually. Right? An amma ivriya is a Jewish girl who works for you till the age of 12. Then you have to set her free at the beginning of Parshas Mishpatim, right? About a Jewish girl who's sold as a servant. Shivcha usually means a slave. She's changed it in the middle. Okay, and I thought that you may listen to the word of your maidservant. Ki yishma HaMelech lahatzil es amosoi miyado ish. When the king will listen to save his maidservant from the hand of the man, meaning she's going back to the story. I thought I'll make up a story, and the king will hear my story, and he'll save me from the hand of the man who threatens to kill my son, and then you'll take the message seriously yourself to save from you doing the same thing.
Sounds like parallel to Sa Elokim Nefesh. Like that of saving the.
Where do you see the parallel?
In saving somebody.
Maybe. I hear. Who wants to destroy me, the Esbani and my son, Yachad together. He didn't actually threaten to kill her, right? But that's her being destroyed, her life's thing. The only thing that remains from her husband's family is this one last son. So the king will hear the story to save me from the hands of the man who wants to destroy me and my son, Yachad together, minachlas Elokim, from the inheritance of God. And that's why I thought I'd make up this whole story, and you'll hear that, and you'll take it seriously. Okay. But again, he says a lot of, what's the word?
Repetitive?
Yeah.
Is that the word?
Verbosity, I think is the word.
Verbosity.
Verbosity, when people talk a lot.
Wait, I want to know that
right.
word. How do you?
Verbosity.
How do you type it? How do you like?
Verbo.
Sity.
Wait, S-I. Verbosity.
We had it once in Shmuel HaNavi, that word.
Embarrassing if I got
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know English also very well.
Well, better than you do, that's all.
The
But I don't speak Dutch as well as
I know
you speak
American.
English.
Verbosity was the word that you said.
No. The word doesn't appear here. I'm just saying she is speaking a lot, and she's going over the story, repeating. She's saying a lot of things because she's a normal person who speaks. That's how people speak. You can't expect it to be written in the same style that Tanach is written. Because this is just a story of a woman who's speaking the king. And she said, and your maidservant said, meaning I decided, maybe the word of the king will give rest. Means I'll put my case to the king about this guy who wants to kill my family, and then the king will help me. Why did I think the king would be able to help me? Kemalach Elokim, like an angel of God, Kain Adoni HaMelech. A king is like an angel of God, and therefore the king will make sure that justice is seen. Lishma atov v'ara, to hear the good and the bad. I mean, to hear both sides of the argument. Hashem Elokecha yimach, and the Lord your God will be with you. So that she's explaining why I made up the whole case, so that you would hear the story, and then you would help me, and then after coming to a decision, you will make the same decision about your situation. Okay, that's the end of her speech, and that's the end of our class today, because it's past the time.
Yes.
Just a minute.